Hello everyone, welcome back. Now, as we discussed, data definition language is used to create a new table, but that table will be empty. For instance, if I go and if I want to view the data in my tables, I can write a select statement, something like this, selecting all the data from the table program. And if I run this statement, it will basically give me an empty structure. There is no data in the table. Now we will be studying select statements in much more detail later on. For now, just understand that this statement will show all the records in that table program. Right now, we don't have any records. So let us start putting data in the table. And to do that, we will use data manipulation language, DML. And within DML, we'll be learning three statements: insert, update, and delete. These are the three statements that make the language DML, data manipulation language. Let us put these two values in the table program. Okay, these two records, not values, these two records in the table program. I'm just copying it for reference. So insert, the first statement is insert into the name of the table, that is program, and then you use the keyword values. The first value is 1561. The second value, now it is important to know the data types of each column. Okay, so program ID is number, you're gonna write the number directly. Title is going to be character, so you have to put characters in single quote. And then the third is duration, which is again integer, so you're going to put again a numeric value directly. So if you have a character or date value, it will be in single quotes, and numeric values you're going to just put directly. Excuse me. Insert into program values, and the same thing, 3366 CP, and again comma 2 years semicolon. I'm going to run these two statements, and the records are inserted successfully. I'm going to run the select statement once again and have a look. Now my table have two records, two rows. Let us do the same for, for our students table. So just for reference, I'm copying all this so it's easier for me to, to write. And I'm going to use a shortcut this time. I'm going to say insert into students values bracket close, and then comma, and all the commas. Let me have a select statement on students. Select star from students. I'm doing this so that I can easily view the data types. The first is integer, so no problem. The second, third are characters, so they must be in single quotes. The third value is integer, and fourth value is character. How come? Oh no, my bad. I think it's slightly so that we change the structure actually. Hold on. So up until email it is fine, then age is 21, program ID is also fine, and then it's asking us for a cell number. We added a column cell, okay? And I'm gonna just give the cell number 613-222 and 222. So this will be more than, so there are 11 characters. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna remove the dash, because we have made it character of 10. Okay, so it should not be more than 10 characters. And we end it with a semicolon. Okay, we end it with a semicolon. So I'm gonna run this, and there was a problem. Insert, yeah, the spelling of insert, there's a typo. Insert into, again I'm gonna run that, and it looks fine now. And I'm gonna check, and the first record is inserted. Now this is the most simplest form of insert. You have a table with 6 columns. You're supplying 6 values. First value goes in the first table, first column, second goes in the second column, and so on and so forth. But there are different variations possible. Let us say I want to insert a student that only has student ID, name, and email. Let us see how we do that. Insert into students, values, bracket, and I am intentionally removing some of the values. I just want you to know how RDBMS treats that. So comma, and this is of course character values, so they must be in single quotes, and semicolon. Okay, let us see what happens here. And again, let us select and have a look. I have a table with 6 columns. I inserted 3 values. So the first value went into the first, second went into the second, third went into the third, and automatically the remaining 3 columns, it basically became null. So if you don't supply a value, and if the column is not a primary key or does not have a not null constraint, meaning it can accept nulls, it will just become null. Now let us make it more specific. Let us say I want to insert a student's record that has student ID. Student ID is the primary key, so it is must. Okay, we can't escape that. Second, it has name, and then I want to skip email, age, program ID, and I just want to give cell. So I want to give value for the first, second column and the last column, right? Let us see how I can do that. Insert into students, values, bracket. So first value goes in first column. Oops, did I press insert by mistake? That was Sandro, right? Second value goes in second column. I don't want to give a value for the third column. I don't want to give a value for the fourth and fifth column. So third column, I want it to be null. Fourth column also I want it to be null. Fifth column I also want it to be null. And the last column I want to give a value 613 222 333 something, just random. Just make sure they are 10 characters, not more than 10 characters. So did I give 3, 4, 5, 6, 10? Yeah, I gave one more. So just removing one. Okay. So this is how you can do it. You can use the explicit keyword null. Let us see. And there you go. And there you go. Have a look, guys. Make sense? So you can explicitly use the keyword null. Of course, you cannot do this if the column is a primary key. A primary key column will not accept null. You cannot do this if a column has a not null constraint, right? Next, again, I want to insert one more record. Same way, I just want student ID, name, and I just want the cell number. I don't want the other columns. But I want to show you a different way of doing it. Have a look here. Insert into students, values. The first value, the name value, student ID name, and this should be my cell number, okay? So I want this value to go in student ID, I want this value to go into name, and this value to go into the cell number. So what I can do is alternately, after the name of the table, I can specify the column student ID, name, and cell number. So this is also one way. This is also one way of inserting data. Have a look. So you have a table with, let us say, 10 columns, but you want to give value for only 2 columns. It doesn't matter the sequence of the column. You can just write after the table name, you write the name of those 2 columns and you give values and those values goes into those two columns only. So writing the column name with the table name is optional and needed only when you are supplying values for specific columns and not all the columns. This is again quite basic ways of insert. There are some more complex ways of insert, not complex, there are more variations to the insert statement syntax. But for now, this should be, this should help you get started. I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to put it in the week 9 class notes for you to practice later. And now let us move on to the next set of SQL DML statement, that is update. Select star from students. We already have that at the bottom. Now let us say I want to set all four. So I have 4 students in my students table. I want to set the name, not the name, sorry. I want to set the program ID for all the 4 students to be 1561. Okay. All the students belong to that one same program ID. So what I can do is I can write update the name of the table, which is student, set the name of the column, which is program ID equals to 1561, and that's it. You can write it in one line also. And then I'm going to run this. Oh, it's students. So there's a S. I am missing the S. And you run that. It says update 4, basically 4 records updated. I run this and have a look. For all the records, the student ID became 1561. This is a very risky update. If a table had a million record, the program ID for all the millions of record would become 1561. Suppose I want to set the age of John to 20 years. Okay, I want to specifically set the age of John to 20 years, let us say. So in that, and let us do that. Okay. So I'm going to do what? I'm going to write update students set age equals to 20. And the most important thing now is I'm going to say where student ID equals to 1004. So this where clause is very important in updates and deletes. This ensures that only this one record is updated, not all records are updated. So in the first case, all the records got updated, which is honestly very rare. You're not going to update the entire table in real time. Very rare. Okay. And you do this and select again and have a look. John, the age became 20. Let us say for record 1003, I want to set the email address and the age, both. Okay, so let us see that. Update students set email equals to sandra@ac.com, just a made up, of course. And then I'm going to give a comma. And the second column is age is, let us say 22. And then again, I'm going to say where student ID is 1003. So now I'm updating 2 columns. Like this, you can update multiple columns by giving a comma. And if you don't write the where clause, again, the entire table will be updated. But if you want to target it to a specific record or a group of record, you can give a valid where condition. I'm going to run this. I'm going to review the select again and have a look for Sandra. The email and age got updated. Now you may have also noticed that the sequence in which the records are displayed, it has changed, right? Now, why that happens? Well, it's because of the way the storage works in database. So if there is ever time, I will brief you about it. It is not needed for you to understand at level 1. But in level 6, we have a course, Advanced Database Topics, where we teach database administration. So if ever any one of you comes to that course with me, there we basically teach you how the table is basically stored inside the database, how the rows are organized. So this happens for a reason. It's just not the right level to discuss that right now. But yeah, that can happen. So these are different variations of update. Same way, guys. I'm gonna teach you a very simple way of copying data from one table to another table. So right now, I have put all the data into one table, which was students, but students 2 is empty, right, guys? Select star from students 2, it's empty. So have a look here, guys. I can write like this. And this is a trick SQL code, okay? You're not going to find this online, in textbooks or in notes. Insert into student 2, select star from students. This works in Oracle. I hope it works in Postgres as well. So let me check. It's giving me insert has more expression than the target column. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So what happened was students 2 does not have the cell column. So if I just show you this, students 2. So in students 2, there is no cell column. In students, there is a column called cell number, right? The last column. But in students 2, we don't have that. The structure is not same. But I can still do that. I can write SID. I can specify the columns. SID, name, email, age, and program ID. So I'm just selecting the columns that exist in this table. Okay, I'm gonna try this again, guys. And there you go. Yeah. So this is how you can copy data from one table into another table. You may have to take into account that the sequence of column and the number of columns are matching, okay? So that's what I did just now. I just copied data from students into students 2. Now students 2 did not had one column cell, so I had to remove that from my select basically, okay? This is also possible. Now, the next operation I'm going to perform on students 2. So I'm going to write delete from students 2. How many records are there in students 2? There are 4 records. Am I telling the database which record needs to be deleted? No, I'm not telling that. So this statement will basically remove or delete all the records from students 2. Have a look. All the data of students 2 is gone. The table is empty. Right? Whereas if I go back to my students table, select all from student. Okay. And if I want to delete one particular record, let us say I want to remove the record of Sandra. So I have to write delete from students where student ID equals to 1003. Now I could have written where name equals to Sandra, but it is always better to use the primary key column in the where clause. Unless there is a reason for you to not do it, the best approach is always to use the primary key column in the where clause, okay? That ensures that only one record will be deleted. So I'm going to do this. And now only one record is deleted from students. Have a look. So that's the difference, guys. If you don't write a where clause in delete, basically all records will be deleted. Okay. And if you do write a where clause, only student ID 1003 will be deleted. Now this looks very much like truncate. If you remember, we studied truncate. Truncate will also delete all the records. So yes, the end result of deleting all and truncating is same, but there is a minor difference that I'm going to discuss later, okay? There is still one more thing that is different between truncate and delete, but we'll discuss that later. So remember, guys, in update and delete, Where clause is very important. Your where clause is important. Again, I'm going to copy all of this into your class notes and you can practice it later. So this is pretty much all the DDL and DML that I wanted to cover. So DDL, I think I already have one video, and this video was for DML, data manipulation language. Our focus was on insert, update, and delete statements.